In this episode, which contains spoilers, we're going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery and Point of Light. Did I say spoilers? Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and on this episode of Star Trek Discovery, Point of Light, we are not dealing so much with the red phenomenon that is around the galaxy, which is the overarching plot of this season of Star Trek Discovery, although it opens up with Burnham still trying to figure it out and not getting anywhere with it. A little bit jealous, it sounds like, of Spock, who seems to have a bit more insight, but then no one's able to talk to him. In the last episode, we were told, of course, that he had checked himself into a psychiatric ward at Starbase 5, and nobody has heard from him since. This is something that Pike knew about, but did not admit to Burnham until later on in last episode. So there is some concern as to how Spock is doing, and before that they can talk about that too much, a Vulcan ship comes into sight, and to surprise, when Burnham goes to meet the ambassador in the transporter room, it turns out to be Amanda instead. And for the first time, we're able to see just what kind of person Amanda is. And in one word, headstrong. She obviously was able to talk people into taking the family interstellar spacecraft out on her own in order to talk with Michael, and had made a little visit to Starbase 5 herself. Wasn't able to see Spock, but was able to use logic in order to steal something. So she comes on the ship, and she needs Michael to help her decode whatever the medical records were that she was able to get away from Starbase 5. And so they go to Captain Pike, who then basically sides with them, although there was a great line in there where as Burnham is making her case, he interrupts her to Amanda and says, was she always that bossy? And Amanda says, on Vulcan we call it persistent. And yes, she got it from me. At that point, and I believe Pike had a good word there, I can't open this because it's illegal and my mother wouldn't like it. I thought that was a nice little quip right there. So they open up the file and under the captain's orders, and they find out that this Red Angel thing is something that Spock has had quite a bit of thought put to, although they don't really give us any information at this point as to what they're finding out. And Amanda and Michael have a heart-to-heart in which Michael still doesn't say exactly what it was that drove her and Spock apart, although she did indicate that he followed her around like little brothers will do, and she tried to get him away from her, presumably because she was afraid that the disfavor that she was in would rub off on him, and she didn't want that to happen to him. And in order to get him to quit following her around, she had to say something to him that was hurtful. And Amanda's reaction to it is a little hard to parse, but she says, upon taking the file back, I will find Spock. Don't worry about it for you. Much of the rest of the episode has to do with the instability in the Klingon High Council. We know that L'Rell has been made the Chancellor, and there has been a great deal of concern on the part of many about Voq Ash, that Voq does not appear to be Klingon anymore, and they don't quite trust him. And turns out he can't be trusted because he has reported the unrest in the High Council to the Federation. So this has been, they've been caught at this, and a rival is attempting to murder the Chancellor and Ash in order to take over the High Council himself. And just about the time that they're in a great big fight, we see one of the better entries. Instead of just beaming in, she comes kind of through a wall, and along with her a killer drone that comes and kills everybody else in the room. except for Ash and Laurel, and leaves one person alive, the ringleader of the opposition, and he gets encased in a big bubble. I don't really know what kind of technology that is, but it's obviously Section 31 stuff that's just not available to the rest of the Federation for the rest of the time that we've ever seen it. So she is recognized by Ash and corrects him that she is not the Emperor. She is retired commander of the Shenzhou and now a Starfleet security consultant. So they create a ruse in order to make it look like both he and the baby they had together, which they reveal for no real reason at this point, and show it to the council that now Laurel is cementing her power and wanting to be called something more fierce than Chancellor, which would be Mother. And I can believe that can be fierce sometimes. So perhaps they should have called this episode Fierce Mothers. I don't know. At any rate, we have a couple of things that we get to see the inside of one of the Section 31 ships. It appears to be fairly advanced, although smaller, possibly more maneuverable, more stealthy than most Federation ships would be, and has an interesting design to it. They rescue Ash and the baby is sent to some kind of Klingon planet that has monks on it, and the kid is sent to a monastery. I have a feeling that something's going to happen with that later on. It's unclear as to whether this child is the child of Voq, or if it's a child of Ash, or if we still know which one the body belongs to. It's still a little confusing, so I suppose that's something they're going to come back to. So a triple twist somewhere along the line. Meanwhile, back on Discovery, Tilly has been, as of last episode, followed around by an old junior high classmate and helps her to win a marathon. Possibly the most unbelievable thing about the program is that Tilly could win a marathon, but apparently with the help of this vision that she was having, that made it possible. And they find that she's actually infected with a, Stamets says, multicellular since it has opinions, I think was the line that he used on that. Kind of clever. So anyway, they extract this the same way with a piece of the meteor out of an antigrav chamber. And it looks like they're going to pull everything off of her, including her face and half of her body. But it turns out that it pulls out this multi-dimensional creature that has come from the spore. And we'll probably hear more about that in the preview of next week. There appears to be more of that that's going to be of some concern. So we see a lot more of the relationship between Captain Pike and Michael, and between Michael and Amanda, and between Michael and Spock, even though we didn't see Spock, and also of Saru and Tilly, and Tilly and Michael. So it's all relationship stuff, and Ash and Michael, and Ash and Laurel, and the love triangle that's there, and the struggle. It looks like all it's doing in this episode is just setting the stage for what will come later, because really it was kind of a placeholder episode as far as I could tell. Still kind of interesting. I think everything that we learn here will be important later. So that's what I think about this. Why don't you tell me what you think in the comments? In the meantime, if you've not subscribed, please do so. And until next time, don't go far.